Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Flame Emperor episode number 247 based on novel. So let's start. Third eyes. Xiao Yan's eyes became serious. Obviously, if the three-eyed ghost pupils were all three, I am afraid that the 4-star fighting immortal level powerhouses could only walk around, let alone them. The third eye of these three-eyed ghost pupils was a smear of grey pupils. The grey pupils gave Xiao Yan a very strong wave of death. At first glance, it seemed that there was a mysterious power from hell. Ha ha ha. Eagle Eye Team, thank you for accepting my employment. In return, I will give you the three-eyed ghost eyes. How can the ghost world have time to play with you, a bunch of idiots? I won't accompany you from now on. The voice of the man in black slowly spread throughout the space, and then his figure slowly disappeared. The direction of disappearance was the place where the wicked were imprisoned on the 8th floor. And until this time, I am afraid that the stupid person also understands that all this is the plan of the guy in front of him. Forged a commission from the great power of the ghost world, and let the Hawkeye team enter the Ice and Fire Island to save people, so the man in black followed. When entering the destination, the man in black took action and wiped out all the insiders, so as to avoid future troubles. This bastard. It's actually tricking us. Until now, Yu Feng finally understood that he had been tricked by others when he entered Ice and Fire Island twice before and after, and he felt that this commission was unclear, even full of loopholes. It was only because of the pressure of the great power that he had to do it. What should I do now? Liu Qing looked at Xiao Yang with a weak aura and said, "You guys, let's go first." Xiao Yang shook his head helplessly and said, through his keen soul power, he discovered that the grey pupils of the three-eyed ghost pupil and the third eye were filled with too many death fluctuations. Staying here, I'm afraid there won't be any chance of winning, but it will only increase Xiao Yang's burden. Moreover, the reason why Xiao Yang wanted to stay was because of the three-eyed ghost pupil. Although the three-eyed ghost pupil was undoubtedly devastating to the current Xiao Yang, it was also a great supplement, so a bold idea slowly emerged. If you can defeat the three-eyed ghost pupil and refine it, the soul of the Fairyland will be at your fingertip. How about that? Since we are a team, how can we leave our teammates and escape alone? Yu Feng can't do this kind of thing. Although Yu Feng was very aggrieved, facing Xiao Yang said this, there was no sign of backing down. The guy just now should be the initiator of this plan. He has been following us, and the exit has been destroyed by him, but my soul power has captured his hidden passage. There is no time. If you don't leave, the exit will be closed. I'm afraid all of us have to die here. Xiao Yang said helplessly. These three-eyed ghost pupils are too strong. Razor said. I hold it, you guys go first, I have a way to get out. See you at the East Continent. After Xiao Yang finished speaking, the dazzling khaki yellow holy flame wave directly entangled everyone, and then without looking back, he shot directly at a certain place in the boundless. Bang bang bang! The third grey eye saw the Jade Legacy and everyone fled, and immediately a grey light beam, like a death ray, directly pierced through it. When the grey death ray was about to hit Yu Feng and the others, it was directly cut off by Xiao Yang with the palm of his hand. The place that was attacked was the place where the man in black entered the 8th floor just now. At this time, the man in black left, the gap was being repaired quickly, but it was hit by such a tyrannical blow from the holy flame. That Wujie turned out to be a small crack, and then the Jade Legacy everyone was completely sent out by Xiao Yang. Next, it's time to have fun with you. Seeing that everyone in the Hawkeye team and the men in black disappeared, there was only Xiao Yang left in this unbounded area. Xiao Yang didn't have any fear, but instead the corners of his mouth were full of teasing. The power of the three-eyed ghost pupil in the late stage of the 3-star fighting immortals is almost useless to Xiao Yang. After all, its strongest power is the power of the soul. As for the power of the soul, the 3 holy flames in Xiao Yang's body, and even the many means of fighting the soul-devouring talisman, is naturally not difficult. More importantly, Xiao Yang is also quite looking forward to the three-eyed ghost pupil. If he can swallow it, I am afraid that the soul of the Fairyland will come naturally. The man in black just now should be a person from the kingdom of ghosts. I found out that someone was following us, but it was a miscalculation. The Lord of Soul Eater said helplessly. You guessed it right, the three-eyed ghost pupil is indeed a great supplement to the power of the soul, but if you want to devour it, I am afraid that the top priority is to defeat it. The Lord of Soul Eater said slightly. Just when Xiao Yang was talking to the Soul Eater, the three-eyed ghost pupil appeared completely. The third eye, the first eye is dark blue, the second eye is yellow, and the third eye is grey. The three eyes joined together to form a triangle, but what scared Xiao Yang the most was the grey third eye. It seems that this grey third glance is a look back, which can completely obliterate Xiao Yang. Come out. Xiao Yang shook his head slightly, not daring to underestimate the third eye, and immediately caressed his chest with his palm. The next moment, 3 flames of different colors slowly emerged in this boundless world. Ranked 35th, the khaki-colored fire heart Tianyang. Ranked 24th, the dark blue ghostface ghost flame, and the azure ethereal ice flame ranked 22nd. The 3 kinds of holy flames slowly emerged, and the entire space was suddenly quiet, and even the grey pupils couldn't help but show a heavy look. Obviously, facing the power of the 3 holy flames, even the 3-eyed ghost pupils are a little inferior. 1 chip. Humph 3-eyed ghost eyes, I want to see whether it was your soul attack that killed me first, or my 3 holy flames, which refined you first. 3 flames together, ghosts and gods. Empty tears. Xiao Yang's voice was like that of a supreme monarch. As soon as the voice fell, the 3 holy flames spun rapidly around Xiao Yang, and even after the appearance of the 3 holy flames, the 3-eyed ghost pupil, the pressure on his own soul turned out to have disappeared without a trace. Until this time, Sanmu Ghost Eye didn't seem to realize that this little guy didn't seem to be simple, so a stream of dark blue liquid, a yellow liquid, and a grey liquid, the 3 liquids also instantly changed from 3 to 1. The pupils flowed out, and then slowly merged together under Xiao Yang's gaze. Are you finally willing to make a killing move? Then the outcome will be determined with 1 blow. Seeing this, Xiao Yang laughed. Obviously, no matter how tyrannical the 3-eyed ghost pupils were, under the power of the fusion of his 3 saints, they would probably be vulnerable. Until now, Sanmu Gui Tong and Xiao Yang were condensing extremely tyrannical attacks. Huoxin Tianyang has had a very strong defense since ancient times, and the ghost face and soul flame is the nemesis of the soul. In addition, the sacred breath of the ethereal ice flame suppresses the soul. The 3-eyed ghost eye has been arrogant for so many years, and now it is also arrogant. It's time to rest in peace. Watching the tyrannical attack brewing between Xiao Yang and Sanmu Gui Tong, the Soul Eater smiled slowly. Crash. The 3 dazzling holy flames, under Xiao Yang's urging of Fenju, slowly merged together without too many obstacles, so a drop of silver liquid the size of a tear slowly appeared in front of Xiao Yang. This space tear is undoubtedly more powerful than when Xiao Yang used it in Shen Santian. After all, it was the first time that Xiao Yang used the fusion of holy flames in Shentian Santian. It was naturally quite difficult for the 3 holy flames to disagree with each other, and their strength was weak at that time, so naturally they could not compare with the present. The liquids of dark blue, yellow, and grey slowly merged together, and then a terrifying soul force that could easily obliterate the soul of the fairyland suddenly emerged from the 3-color liquid. Ying. I will revive you as soon as possible. Looking at the ethereal tears in his palm, a figure of a shadow slowly poured into his heart, and the frown and smile of that shadow slowly incited Xiao Yang. My heart whirls, even a single tear can't help but slowly drip down. 3-eyed ghost pupil, give me death. The next moment, Xiao Yang no longer hesitated or held back, the ethereal tears in his palm suddenly condensed and formed, and then Xiao Yang shouted loudly, and threw his palm heavily towards him. Boom! The ethereal tears, like a drop of extremely small crystal silver and antimony tears, slowly flew away towards the 3-eyed ghost pupil. However, this fusion of 3 holy flames of space tears, along the way, turned out to be an extremely serious explosion in the boundless space, as if it exploded because it could not bear the terrifying power of space tears. Wong buzzing. Facing the attack of the ethereal tears, the 3-eyed ghost pupils were like a formidable enemy, and the 3 pupils glowed with a hint of deepness, and then the 3-color liquid was also slowly pushed by it, and hit it directly. The oncoming ethereal tears. Boom boom boom. The 3-color liquid and the 3-color holy flame collided with tears in an instant, and a terrifying flame storm suddenly swept the entire boundless. At that time, the soul above the 3-color liquid fluctuated. A speed visible to the naked eye is rapidly diminishing. The 3-eyed ghost pupils seemed to have discovered this scene. Those 3 pupils couldn't help but burst into bursts of power of different colors, directly injecting them into the 3-color liquid, trying to resist the tears of the next empty spirit. Otherwise, they know that once they are defeated, I am afraid that their fate will not be much better. As soon as the ethereal tears come out, is it the reason for failure? Blow me up. And Xiao Yang looked at the 3-eyed ghost pupils that were gradually falling into the lower winds. Without any hesitation, he directly detonated the ethereal tears completely. Xiao Yang motivated voidling tears. Naturally, he wanted to motivate Fenju, which consumed an unimaginable amount of fighting chi that ordinary people could not imagine. Therefore, he naturally couldn't be dragged with Sanmu Gui Tong. Boom boom boom. Stimulated by Xiao Yang's dazzling dual fighting spirit, and adding Xiao Yang's order, the ethereal tears that were like tears, crystal silver and antimony, turned into a crater in an instant. The power of the sacred flame described, vented directly to the three-eyed ghost pupil, and with the complete detonation of the ethereal tears, this unbounded space also instantly turned into a world of flames, and countless flames were noisy everywhere, and even a touch of lava followed. When he realized that he was no match for the human in front of him, the three pupils of the three-eyed ghost pupil suddenly closed, as if they were seriously injured, and quickly ran away from the outside. Humph. I'm running away now, it's too late. Empty spiritual tears, refine it for me. Looking at the three-eyed ghost eyes who gave up their resistance and fled in a hurry, Xiao Yang didn't give it any chance. He directly controlled the remaining ethereal tears and chased after them. Seeing the three-eyed ghost pupil being continuously refined by his holy flame, Xiao Yang also let out a long sigh of relief, and then sat down. It was obvious that Fen Zhu had just been activated to fuse the three holy flames, and he was attacking and even detonating the ethereal tears at the end, which had completely squandered nearly 90% of Xiao Yang's power of fighting immortals. Although the power of the fusion of the three holy flames is tyrannical, for me now, I am afraid it is only a blow. Xiao Yang gasped, trying to absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth from the boundless and restore the power of fighting immortals, but in Hungry Unbounded, there was not a trace of heaven and earth spiritual energy, which made Xiao Yang wrinkle his brows. Forget it, it's too dangerous here, let's talk about restoring strength first. Xiao Yang shook his head, then directly twisted his own ring, and took out a fiery red mellow elixir from it. Fairy pill. It is enough for a strong person below 3-star Dozian to recover 80% of Do Qi within a short period of time after taking it. Although only one can be taken within a month, otherwise it will produce antibodies and lose its effect, but this cannot limit its effect. Value. This is simply a must-have for going out. It's just this one. It seems that I need to find some time to add more pills to restore vindictive qi. Xiao Yang said without hesitation. With a wave of his palm, the immortal spirit pill was swallowed by Xiao Yang. It was strange to say that this fairy pill was just swallowed by Xiao Yang, and it immediately turned into a smear of extremely tyrannical pure energy, directly facing Xiao Yang's depleted fighting core, and even the limbs and bones gathered together. Go! It's really a good thing. In just one breath, Xiao Yang realized that the vindictiveness in his body that had already been drained, actually recovered nearly 70%. Even if he didn't reply to the rumored 80%, just the 70% grudge was enough to surprise Xiao Yang. Just imagine, if you devour a medicinal pill when your lamp runs out, and instantly restore 70% of your vindictive energy, it will definitely not be difficult to escape. As for the fact that 80% of the vindictive energy was not recovered, only 70% of it was related to the burning decision in Xiao Yang's body or something. Wong om. And as Xiao Yang was so happy, the three-eyed ghost pupil in the air was also on the verge of being refined by the power of holy flame, and it could dissipate at any time. As for those grey pupils, there is also a sense of powerlessness. Obviously, even the strongest third eye did not expect that the human being he wanted to devour would actually be a guy with 3 holy flames. The power of the holy flame has a great attraction and enhancement to the fire-type powerhouse, not to mention that these 3 flowers are condensed on one person. I am afraid that such an increase can only be described by the word Evildor. Next, it's time to harvest. I hope you won't let me down. Looking at the dying 3-eyed ghost pupil, Xiao Yang's dark pupils also became hot. The 3-eyed ghost pupil is a great supplement to the power of the soul. Now he is only one step away from the soul of the fairyland. Whether he can succeed or not depends on this time. The dying 3-eyed ghost pupil seemed to have sensed Xiao Yang's malicious smile, and the 3 pupils suddenly burst out with the last trace of strength, as if to buy a little time for their escape, but at this time, the boundless world was already full of with the power of the holy flame. No matter how the 3-eyed ghost pupil jumps, he cannot escape the fate of falling. Refining for me. Seeing the 3-eyed ghost pupils who gave up their resistance and stood quietly in the void, Xiao Yang didn't hesitate, just sat cross-legged and closed his eyes. At that time, a huge soul force would accompany Sheng Yang's package, refining it to the 3-eyed ghost pupil. The power of the soul and the power of the holy flame are refined together, and no matter how tyrannical these 3-eyed ghost pupils are, it is inevitable that they will fall. After being attacked by Xiao Yang's ethereal tears, the 3-eyed ghost pupil is already on the verge of death, but if you want to swallow it, You must use the power of holy flame to refine the 3 pupils into the purest soul source, otherwise if you directly swallow the 3-eye ghost eye, let alone Xiao Yang, even the master of Soul Eater would explode and die in an instant. Easy first, then difficult. Xiao Yang was not in a hurry. Now that the winning ticket was in his hands, all he needed was a matter of time. As soon as the voice fell, the dazzling power of the soul and the power of holy flame directly wrapped the dark blue pupil of the first eye, and slowly refined it. It's strange to say that after the power of the soul and the power of the holy flame had just wrapped the dark blue pupil of the first eye actually melted quickly, and even faintly turned into a touch of the origin of the soul. The refining of the power of the soul and the power of holy flame is really not comparable to ordinary flames. This guy has really grown up a lot. Seeing Xiao Yang like this, Soul Eater couldn't help but show a rare smile. Originally, he felt that the 3-eyed ghost pupil was so tyrannical, I am afraid he needed to take action himself, but what he didn't expect was that Xiao Yang actually resolved himself. Although this resolution could not avoid the 3 holy flames in his body, it was enough to make the Soul Eater Lord, who had always had a very high vision, a little touched. Forget it, this kid's growth rate is a bit beyond my expectations. After he has swallowed the 3-eyed ghost pupil and advanced to the Fairyland Soul, it's time to see my subordinates. The first 3 floors of Ice and Fire Island. But that Demon of Light and the Lord of Lee Soul, I am afraid there are some shameful things. I always feel that the holy flame in the hands of the Lord of Lee Soul seems to have something to do with the Demon of Light. I am afraid it is not easy. The Lord of Soul Eater himself, a man, stood quietly in the ring and muttered to himself. Crash. The power of the 3 sacred flames far exceeded Xiao Yang's imagination, and it took only a quarter of an hour for the first sight to be completely refined. Who? Seeing that the first sight of the original 3-eyed ghost pupil was transformed into a soul source of crystal silver and antimony, Xiao Yang couldn't help but form a smile on the corner of his mouth. Such a pure soul source is more powerful than any soul source Xiao Yang has absorbed in the past, but this power is obviously not enough for Xiao Yang to break through the Fairyland Soul. But don't forget that this is only the first sight, there are 2 more. There is no refining. At that time, combined with the power of the 3-eyed ghost pupil, I am afraid that the promotion to the Fairyland will also be a matter of course. Second sight. It won't be too late to devour after the 3rd eye has been refined. That way, it will be better to grasp it. Xiao Yang said to himself, and after speaking, Zaidu refined and left for the 2nd eye. On the other hand, the 2nd eye seemed to sense that the 1st eye had been completely refined, and it radiated a trace of fear. Just when he wanted to escape, it was wrapped in Xiao Yang's holy flame and slowly began to refine. Originally, the 3-eyed ghost pupil was naturally invincible, but under the pressure and destruction of Xiao Yang Shenyang, the 3-eye at this time only became the target of being slaughtered by others. Outside the Ice and Fire Island, the Shiwu village altar. The group was thrown out as if they were thrown directly by Xiao Yang, and then the comatose people slowly opened their pupils. What's going on? Yu Xiaoye opened her pupils first, looking at the angry and serious Yu Efeng, Thunder Snake and the extremely weak Liu Qing, she couldn't help but said. Through her observation, she suddenly found that Xiao Yang was gone. Even Jade Legacy and Thunder Snake's fighting chi became unstable in their bodies, and Liu Qing's breath became extremely weak. Intuition told her that something must have happened. Captain Yu, I want to go in and save him. At the next moment, there was a trace of blood in Razor's eyes, and he stared at Yu Efeng and said, "Asshole. We have suffered heavy losses on this trip. Let's go back first and take the 2 of them to Dongju." Yu Efeng's eyes flickered with a heavy look, and then he shook his head and said, "Obviously, even if he is as powerful as a Jade Legacy, in that kind of life-and-death crisis, I am afraid he is not as calm as Xiao Yang, let alone the last sentence, you go first. Team leader, 3-eyed ghost pupil is so tyrannical, Xiao Yang will die. Although I, Razor, are not a big man, I give up on my companions. I can't do it." Razor said word by word. "I know. Land Monkey, Shui Yu, the 2 of you follow me in to save Xiao Yang. Razor, you stay here to protect Liu Qing and Xiaoye. Go." Yu Efeng said helplessly, and then directly ordered. "No." Before Razor could speak, the 3 of Yu Efeng moved and walked directly towards the center of the altar, which was the entrance of the original Ice and Fire Island. Crash. Unexpectedly, the crowd just came to the central passage, but they were not sucked into it, and even an extremely tyrannical repulsive force directly sent the 3 figures flying out. Bang bang bang. The 3 of them flew out, and then Yu Efeng spurted out a mouthful of blood. Obviously, he suffered serious internal injuries when dealing with Sanmu Gui Tong. Team leader. Second uncle. A hurried voice sounded slowly, and then Yu Xiaoye and Lei Snake walked away against Yu Feng. The entrance to the Ice and Fire Island is no longer here, we can't get in. Yu Ifeng sat up with a butt, wiped a few bloodstains on his palms, and opened his mouth slightly. But Xiao Yang he. Razor clenched his fists tightly upon hearing this. Xiao Yang seems to have a good relationship with the Qing family in Ghost King City. Send someone to get in touch. In addition, call the strong family members and monitor them on the periphery of Icefire Island. Once there is any movement, report them as soon as possible, and the entrusted matter must be told to the family. Once Xiao Yang comes out alive, he will be our Yu family's friend for life. After Yu Ifeng finished speaking, he immediately got up, his eyes became deep, and he muttered, "Yes, Captain." The Razors nodded slightly when they heard the words, and that's all there is to it at this time. There are still 2 years before the ratio of Dongju. Let's go to Dongju first. Yu Ifeng was still unwilling and glanced in the direction of Icefire Island, and then he didn't stop, and directly led everyone towards Dongju. As for the wicked little girl Luine on the 10th floor, she left secretly as soon as she came out. Who? These three-eyed ghost pupils really live up to their reputation. It took me a full month to refine the 3 eyes. Next, it's time to harvest. Xiao Yang murmured slowly, then his pupils suddenly opened, his aura suddenly soared to the peak of the initial stage of 1-star fighting immortal, and then he stared intently at the palm-sized crystal silver and antimony in front of him. Group. This energy group is the purest soul source extracted from the 3-eyed ghost pupil. Whether it can be promoted to the Fairyland soul depends on it. Your current breath is floating, so you should break through and swallow it first. In this case, the grasp is also greater. Xiao Yang's eyes slowly stared at the dazzling soul source in his hand, and the Soul Eater came out and said. Hearing this, Xiao Yang couldn't help exclaiming when he saw the Lord of Soul Eater come out. The middle stage of 1-star fighting immortal. The Soul Eater said with a smile. Sure enough. After being bitten by Soul Eater, Xiao Yang realized that his original aura had already reached the peak of the early stage of the 1-star fighting immortal when he was in the Ghost King City. Now, with the battle with the 3-eyed ghost pupil, it would naturally appear. I have a chance to advance to the middle stage of 1-star fighting immortal. Okay. Hearing this, Xiao Yang grinned, and then temporarily threw the crystal silver antimony transparent soul power aside, and sat up quietly. Crash. At this time, Fen Ju was spinning at a high speed in Xiao Yang's body, and even the circular bucket core in his body was spinning at a high speed, and there were some unseen fluctuations between the two, as if there was something between the two. What a secret. Could this round bucket core have something to do with Fen Ju? Xiao Yang sensed a little while adjusting his breath, but he discovered that the two seemed to have some close connection. Your current strength has reached the middle stage of 1-star fighting immortal, you just need to break through that barrier. Don't be distracted, keep your mind, guide your breath, and activate the exercises. The Soul Eater said coldly. Crash. After Xiao Yang heard the words, he didn't think about these things for a while, then closed his eyes and lost his mind, slowly breaking through his own level. After a few minutes, a strange sound came out of Xiao Yang's body, as if a layer of paper had been pierced, and then a rather hearty laughter slowly emanated from Xiao Yang's body. 1-star fighting immortal is in the middle stage. Xiao Yang slowly opened his pupils, and a more powerful force permeated his palm. If Xiao Yang's strength in the early stage of 1-star fighting immortals at the beginning is capable of fighting against the late 1-star fighting immortals at the same level, or he is successful, then Xiao Yang, who is in the middle stage of 1-star fighting immortals at this time, is no exaggeration to say that 1-star fighting immortals. At the same level, there are close to invincible existences, and even without using holy flames, it can be seen how huge the gap between this initial stage of Star Dozian and the middle stage of 1-star Dozian is. Not bad. The strength in the middle stage of 1-star fighting immortal, and then swallowing such a pure soul source, I am afraid there is a great hope to advance to the Fairyland soul, and then add the absorption of fighting soul, and even the technique of forging, the ratio of Dongju and the 4. There is no problem with the ratio of continents. When I think that my disciple of the Soul Eater can win on a continent under the Li Soul Lord, hehe. The Soul Eater laughed maliciously. As the supreme powerhouse of Soul Eater, the Lord of Soul Eater naturally has an open and secret relationship with the Lord of Li Soul Domain, and even the fall of the Lord of Soul Eater is also related to the Lord of Li Soul, which makes Soul Eater. The Lord couldn't help but feel a little bit competitive. Next, it's time to devour the source of the soul. Xiao Yang ignored the Soul Eater and waved his hand slowly, and the crystal silver and antimony transparent soul source came directly in front of him. Susu. The The soul source of crystal silver and antimony had just arrived in front of Xiao Yang, and Xiao Yang suddenly felt that the soul power he had consumed before was actually recovering at a very fast speed. Such a huge soul source is indeed the three-eyed ghost pupil that can be called a soul supplement by humans. Xiao Yang gently held the crystal silver antimony transparent soul source and couldn't help laughing. Although the three-eyed ghost pupil has the strength of the late human three-star fighting immortal, it is of no use, because the three-eyed ghost pupil ignores all physical defenses and cannot perform physical attacks relatively, and the most important thing is to use the soul power to issue a soul attack. The strength of the soul of Sanmu Gui Tong determines its strength. This guy can have strength comparable to that of the human beings in the late stage of the three-star fighting immortals. I am afraid that this Fairyland soul is not the kind that has just stepped into it. The soul of the Fairyland is divided into 3 realms, the virtual soul wandering. And each realm is divided into 3 levels, front, middle and late. The 4th grade immortal level pharmacist Chandixuan 3rd level medicinal pills correspond to the early, middle and late stages of the imaginary level of the Fairyland. And so on. Xiao Yang muttered slightly in his heart. God wandering. The Soul Eater heard the words, quietly quieted down, and muttered slightly. Senior, Shenyu. Xiao Yang opened his mouth slightly when he heard the words, obviously looking forward to the strength of the Soul Eater Lord more or less. The overall strength of the 3 major domains of the Ghost World will not be weaker than that of the Ghost World Center. And under the 3 domains, each domain has a huge area of 1,000 continent. Among the thousands of continents, the best talents are continuously supplied to the 3 domains. As a collection of 4 continents, Yinhunshan is naturally able to rank in the top 100 of the 1,000 continents of Lihunyu, which is enough to attract the attention of the senior management of Lihunyu. Okay, you kid. The soul power of the Fairyland level is not a pediatric Ian. Do you think it is so easy to achieve? That is the highest existence under the soul of the gods. The Lord of Soul Eater said with anticipation, and his voice was full of anticipation. Okay, hurry up and swallow it. The Soul Eater rolled his eyes. Yes. Xiao Yang nodded, and didn't bother to ask. Obviously, the Soul Eater's soul power has not yet reached the immortal ascension realm, but I'm afraid it's not far behind. Come on. After Xiao Yang was ready, he slowly took a deep breath, and then the dazzling soul source was directly inhaled by Xiao Yang into his soul realm. Crash. Such a dazzling soul source just poured into Xiao Yang's soul realm, and suddenly turned upside down. Bang bang bang. At this time, apart from the source of the soul that had just poured in, there was nothing in the soul realm. What was there was just the soul stone that condensed the power of Xiao Yang's Emperor's heavenly perfect soul. The color of the soul stone is completely different from the origin of the soul. It is silver in its entirety, but when facing the origin of the soul, there is a trace of fear. What are you afraid of? You guys want to merge anyway, Xiao Yang said helplessly when he saw this. The power in the soul stone is undoubtedly the great perfection of the Emperor realm, which is only 1 step away from the Fairyland, and the soul origin in this soul realm is the key to promotion. The next step is to condense the spirit palace. Xiao Yang watched the 2 soul powers slowly quiet down, closed his eyes, and slowly controlled the soul power of the soul stone, casting a magnificent palace in his soul realm. Spirit palace. It is a symbol of the soul of the Fairyland, and it is also a place to accommodate the power of the soul. With the spirit palace, the power of the soul will undergo a qualitative leap. When fighting against people, the spirit palace will be summoned to imprison the enemy's soul force, thereby benefiting itself. There are even many mysteries that have not been discovered by humans. Among them, the human beings who can reach the soul of Fairyland are also the favored sons of heaven. And if you want to advance to the Fairyland soul, you must first cast the prototype of the spiritual palace before you can truly step into that step with the power of the soul source. And the so-called spiritual palace is the greatest means of substantive soul power. With a sound, the first casting of the spirit palace ended in failure. The power of the soul is not controlled evenly. Come again. The Lord of Soul Eater was also looking at Xiao Yang cautiously at this time. Yeah. Xiao Yang heard the words, but he didn't panic. After all, with a big guy like the Soul Eater here, it was only a matter of time before he gathered the spirit palace. Failed again. Come again. The power of the soul is not evenly distributed here. Come again. In the boundless, Xiao Yang slowly failed once, and then made a comeback, constantly condensing the spiritual palace in the soul realm. Although the casting of the spirit palace only requires the use of soul power to outline the basic outline, and the soul power will fill it up by itself, the difficulty level is far beyond Xiao Yang's imagination. Originally, Xiao Yang felt that he was already a great consummation of the Emperor realm, and it was not difficult to outline it, but these successive failures actually made Xiao Yang feel a sense of frustration. The casting of the Spirit Palace is quite difficult, but after casting the Spirit Palace, it is a natural thing to advance to the Fairyland, but if you don't break through to the Fairyland soul, the soul power will even retreat. But this spiritual palace, for you now, is like a tiger with wings. After you really set foot in the Fairyland, your soul power will be materialized, so that you can summon the spiritual palace to fight with people and directly imprison the enemy's soul power. To a certain extent, this is your last undefeated piece. The trump card of the land. The Lord of Soul Eater smiled. Yes. Xiao Yang nodded slightly, but the next moment, the outline of the spiritual palace did not fail like before. Don't be distracted. Ads by Pub Future. Focus. Soul power mobilization. Seeing this, Soul Eater couldn't help but get excited. This Xiao Yang is simply a genius. At the beginning, he had failed thousands of times before he succeeded in casting the Spirit Palace, but this Xiao Yang had only failed dozens of times. He seemed to have mastered the mystery, which made Soul Eater unable to help but get excited. Damn. Xiao Yang couldn't help cursing, because he had experienced dozens of failures at this time. Xiao Yang vaguely found a way to outline a little bit, but this outline was too much of Xiao Yang's soul power. Just outline a layer Spirit Palace is to transfer nearly 90% of the soul power of the Emperor Realm heavenly great perfection. With such a terrifying consumption of soul power, even Xiao Yang's expression changed drastically. Swallow the source of the soul. Just when Xiao Yang was at a loss, the voice of the Soul Eater came in. Okay. Seeing this, Xiao Yang did not dare to hesitate in the slightest. The dazzling suction force suddenly mobilized, and then the crystal silver antimony penetrating soul power of the three-eyed ghost pupil in the soul realm was absorbed crazily. Crash. Absorbing the power of the soul, it was like the sound of running water, which was extremely harsh, but a rather mysterious pattern appeared in the huge soul sea at this time. What appeared in front of Xiao Yang was the huge palace that he had just outlined using nearly 90% of his soul power in his soul stone, Spirit Palace, and Xiao Yang, who didn't know what the spiritual palace was originally, was relieved after seeing the more solid spiritual palace. It turns out that this so-called Ling Palace is a magnificent palace. The outside looks like crystal silver and antimony. As for the inside, it is engraved with countless mysterious runes, which is quite complicated. To store the power of the soul. Moreover, through Xiao Yang's perception, he found out that the area of this spiritual palace is so huge that it seems like it can imprison others. Just imagine, if one is inattentive when fighting with others, the enemy is imprisoned by the spiritual palace, so that the enemy cannot use any soul power. For Xiao Yang, relying on the power of fighting Qi alone is tantamount to a one-sided massacre. However, it is a pity that this spiritual palace is only a single means of confinement. If it is a group, I am afraid that the value of the spiritual palace will be infinitely magnified. What do you think? If the Spirit Palace can imprison group enemies, I'm afraid there will be nothing for Do Formation Masters. The principle of this Spirit Palace is similar to that of the Do Formation Master, but they both have their own strengths and weaknesses. The Soul Eater easily understood Xiao Yang's intentions, and couldn't help but scolded with laughter. Don't relax, you have swallowed such a bright soul source, you can't relax. Outline the spiritual palace in one breath, said Soul Eater Zaidu. Okay. Hearing this, Xiao Yang nodded secretly, and then, with the help of the soul source he had just swallowed, he controlled the power of the soul, and carefully outlined it in his soul realm. It's just that even the Soul Eater and Xiao Yang themselves did not realize that at this time, on Xiao Yang's forehead, the protective circle outside the Xiao family's clan pattern was absorbing Xiao in a very greedy attitude. The soul power in the Flame Soul Sea is only absorbed very little, and it is extremely hidden, so neither of them notices it. A sum of second strokes. Xiao Yang struggled to control the power of his soul, constantly sketching out the spiritual palace, and with each stroke Xiao Yang drew, the power of the soul in his body seemed to increase by 1 point. Boom. The next moment, the soul stone that contained all of Xiao Yang's soul power, also because it couldn't bear such violent fluctuations, directly exploded, and then the second share of soul power directly tilted into Xiao Yang's soul realm. Fused together violently. So strong. No way, it's going to explode. Xiao Yang originally used the three-eyed ghost pupil soul source to outline the Spirit Palace, and has already outlined the 3 layers, but unexpectedly, the soul stone suddenly shattered, and the 2 soul powers were like jealous enemies when they met. In the realm of souls, there is a stalemate, and in a blink of an eye, it is ready to be developed. Don't be afraid. There is no need to merge, since the three-layer spiritual palace has been outlined, then the two soul powers can be directly transported into it. The Lord of Soul Eater said calmly. Then let it go. Xiao Yang was also relieved, and he ignored everything else. His eyes became deep, and then two incompatible soul forces were directly merged by Xiao Yang into the half-finished spiritual palace in the soul realm. And with Xiao Yang's outline like this, a huge palace that covers almost the entire soul realm suddenly appeared illusory. If you count it carefully, it turns out that it has 9 floors. Boom! A loud sound resounded throughout the ice and fire island, and even a trace of fear emanated from the depths of the soul. Ha ha ha! Looking at the fluctuation of soul power, it is only the Fairyland that can send it out. It seems that the eagle-eyed team has been killed. Ghost, let's go. Han Shong directly spent tens of thousands of souls to summon the third eye of the three-eyed ghost pupil, and then directly broke through the 8th-layer guardian space, came here, and rescued the ghost. Go. This fluctuation is too violent. I'm afraid it will attract the attention of the top 3-layer powerhouses in the Ice and Fire Island. When the ghost heard the words, his face changed greatly, and then the dark ghost suddenly flickered, directly on the two of them. A crack was torn in front of them, and the two of them slipped in and disappeared. Is this guy's breath discovered by the two guys on the 1st and 2nd floors? In the mysterious cave on the 3rd floor, the behemoth said helplessly after feeling the fluctuation. It seems that something interesting has come to our Ice and Fire Island. The 2nd floor was completely dark, as if he could not see his fingers, and even his breath was like a demon, and he slowly let out a joke. Wonderland soul power. It seems that it should be the guy with the three-eyed ghost pupil. But why is there a smell similar to my lord in this breath? As for the bottom of the Ice and Fire Island, it is also the space on the 1st floor. I can't bear it. A rather strange sound came out, and it didn't go away for a long time. This video will end here.